All right. Well, folks, we did it again. We managed to piss everyone off. Who would have thought that in just 22 seconds of a 57-second reel, we would essentially poke the hornet's nest? But, hey, for the sake of transparency, here's the reel from our podcast with Round the Fire with Jono McHugh that kind of sparked this controversy.
But the way that hunting is set up in South Africa at the moment, there is so very little regulation that it leaves a lot of manipulation. People can just come in there, they can exploit it, they can do the rules, and it has a bad effect on it. I mean, you guys will know, just to become a PH, you just have to do a little 10-day course, and all of a sudden, like, that's it. You can take people hunting, you can lead them all over the place. That type of stuff's dangerous.
So the first comment we get is from none other than Tonie de Bruyn. And yet he is the president of PHASA. And for y'all that don't know what PHASA is the Professional Hunters Association of South Africa. And here's what he had to say. He starts with, "I don't agree. Please talk to me regarding that statement." Then closes with president@phasa.co.za. Okay, so what did we do? Well, we reached out to Tonie directly, and after roughly a week of back and forth, we got him talked into coming on the podcast to talk about this issue and other issues regarding South African hunting and conservation. So, people were heated, but here's the thing. Context is absolutely king. So now, here's the segment with Tonie where we dive into this whole debate. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around to the end. The comment essentially, it was from a clip of a podcast we did. And essentially, the PH did not agree with the 10-day course, and he didn't think that was enough training involved. But, not knowing, with us coming from the States, I think you can enlighten us a little bit more and tell us more about the process and what actually goes into being a PH. And it's quite a bit more than just a 10-day course.
Right. So the 10-day evaluation part of the PH course is the 10 days that you go to a course director. There are identified course directors in South Africa at this stage. Legally, there's only 4 left, maybe 5. One in the Northern Cape, Maynard Harold. Then there's a guy called, now it eludes me, all the names. David Sutherland, Wim Gerard Steenkamp, Kobus Skuman, and then there's a lady. Those are the 5 people that's left in South Africa that through nature conservation has the ability to officiate the 10-day evaluation part of the course. So you as a student decide one day you're ready, you want to become a PH, and to do that, you have to do an evaluation part. Now, the evaluation part is 10 days. In that 10 days, the only thing you're going to get taught a lot of is, number one, is about ballistics. Internal, external, and bullet ballistics. Because that is stuff that we all think is highly specialized, and it's stuff that a professional hunter don't get taught here in the middle of the bush. I mean, I'm not a ballistic specialist. I buy ammo. I read on the box. And that's what I do. And that's what I concentrate on. But the moment you start working with ballistics, that's important to teach the student something about it. Number 2 is the law. Depending on which state you are going to do your PH course, you have to do a law evaluation, a state law. So if you live in the state of Florida, there's a once a year a hunting period that gets identified. It gets published, and it says that the whitetail season for rifle, bow, handgun, shotgun, what is those periods, and that's law. Now in South Africa, it's the same. Each province has their own legislation, and that professional hunter needs to understand the legal legislation for that province. So in the province of Limpopo, Blesbok is exotic. In the province of Northern Cape, Free State, Eastern Cape, parts of Natal, and parts of Mpumalanga, it's considered to be endemic. And a black wildebeest doesn't exist in the Northern Cape, but it exists in the Free State.
Sorry about that, folks. Got to pull that one back. Tonie realized after the podcast that he made a mistake. Black wildebeest are not found in Limpopo or the Northern Transvaal. So just a quick update, he realized he made that mistake and he was afraid somebody was going to call him out on that. So back to the episode.
North of the Orange River, we have Cape Mountain. We've got Hartmann zebra. South of the Orange River, we have Cape Mountain zebra. They nearly look the same, but a Cape Mountain zebra is a little bit smaller, and on mitochondrial DNA and all of that, it's a different subspecies of animal. So Hartmann zebra can be exported. Cape Mountain zebra can, but you need an enhancement strategy. So somebody needs to teach you that. So that if you hunt with your client, you come around the bush and there's a fallow deer. And you tell your client, it's a beautiful fallow deer. And the client goes, I have to shoot it. And you're in Limpopo and you pull the trigger. And the landowner doesn't have a alien invasive species permit. You have problems. You understand? So that's just an example. I'm using these things as an example. So the reality is you have to do a law exam. You have to do a skin exam. In other words, they'll give you a sheep's head that's frozen, and you have to tape it out. And if you make more than 3 holes, you fail the course. All right? You get 2 chances. 1 practice head, 1 tape head. If you fail it, you fail the course. You have to do caping over. You can't do it over immediately. You can only do it over in 6 months. All right? You have to do a shooting exam. You have to shoot a speed test. You get, I think, 12 seconds. You have to shoot 20, 10, and 5 yards. 1 shot each. And it's normally on a buffalo target. And then they take your gun, they turn your scope out, and you have to zero the gun within 3 shots. If you fail it, you fail the course. Then you have to do a photography picture exam. You have to take pictures of trophies. You get taught how to take pictures of trophies, how to position the trophy, how to put it, how to place the client, how to do the blood and all of that. And you get evaluated on that. And through all these evaluations, the course director can at any time write down, you are not up to standard, and then you're not qualified. And then at the end of the course, the last day, the federal government comes. You will call it a state exam, a federal exam. We call it a national exam. You write the national exam that tests all the aspects of the evaluation of the last 10 days. And you write your state law exam. Now that national exam, when I wrote it in Mpumalanga, the guy called me one side and he said to me, you know what, Mr. De Bruyn, you know that of the 20 birds, you dismally failed 15. And that if you failed another 5, you would have failed your course because the pass rate is 80%. And you got 85. That means you are very bad with birds. And I said to the guy, yeah, I know. And he goes, why? I said, I don't hunt birds. It was my first time in my life that, I live in Limpopo, in the bushveld, and I never in my life had any experience with birds. I didn't know what a spurwing geese was. I didn't know. I knew Egyptian geese, and I knew a Swiss Franklin, and I knew a guinea fowl, and, grey bird, little yellow bird, little green bird. I didn't know birds.
I think the 3 that you just named off are about the only 3 that I know too. Then after that, it's like little yellow bird.
And so the lights went on for me and I realized, and at that stage, I never hunted professionally. So I was 35 years old when I did my PH course. I didn't really thought that I had to know birds. So the first thing I did when I started hunting is I started driving around with a bird book. Because if you have a client in the truck and he says to you, what's that? And you go, oh, it's a red-head, double-breasted mattress thrasher. You're not going to make it. You're going to fail your exam. Yeah. I thought, I'll throw in that one. It's one of my favorite ones. Now, yeah. The reality
That's perfect.
The reality is you must know what the bird is and know something about it. So eventually you become a birdo. You understand birds and you understand plants, and you start learning of grass types. That is stuff that the 10-day course is not going to, they're not going to do and say, all right, now you're done. That stuff you learn prior to your course. You understand animal tracks. If you get onto the PH course and you can't judge a kuru, how many chances will you have to pass a kuru? And so that's the reality. If you fail your horn length judgment once at the end of the course, you fail the course. So I would say the pass rate is about 30%. So normally a course will be not more than 14 clients or 14 students. In Limpopo, the law says you have to be 21 years old to get your license. And the only reason for that is you can only own a firearm at 21. But there are exemptions. You can write letters and an 18-year-old can qualify. In the Northern Cape, an 18-year-old can qualify to become a professional hunter. And so there's an age restriction, number one. And number two, it doesn't matter in which province you are, your national exam is your national exam. The only thing that will differentiate you from another student is the legal part, the law part. And if you are a good freelance PH that hunts for different outfitters, at a certain stage, I had 5 or 6 licenses of different provinces. So that if you want to be in the game, you have to have skin in the game, and you have to be able to do it. So a guy like Dries van Koller, the guy you just spoke to, Dries is now SCI Foundation Africa, but Dries has a license in every province in South Africa. There are only a few people that I know that holds 9 licenses. You have to renew them every 2 years, every 3 years, some of the provinces yearly. It's work just to keep your licenses open. And you need 21 days in 3 years to keep your license current. So let's say you didn't renew your Limpopo license, you forgot about it, and you renew it within 6 months, it's fine. After 6 months, rewrite the law exam. You have to do it over. After a year, you have to do the whole exam over, the whole 10 days. You have to pay somebody and go and do the course again. And that's unfortunate. And so it is not a Mickey Mouse thing. The biggest problem that people have, and a lot of people are opinionated about it, is there are a lot of young men coming into the industry on a yearly basis. And some of the outfitters will employ those young boys because you can pay them less. You can have a young guy work on your ranch. And I'm using this as an example again. This is a tendency that can happen. But the reality is he's qualified. And I can tell you now, if you don't give a young boy a chance in your business, then there won't be longevity. I mean, 5 years ago, my average PH was 45 years old. When you go over 50, you start looking for a place to die in our industry. You become slow. You become complacent. The reality is, I'm 56 years old, and the only reason I'm still alive is because I'm scared shitless. I don't want to get caught by a buffalo. I've been charged by a leopard or a lion once or twice in my life. I've never been charged by a buffalo. Why? I hunt with dogs. People, I have young PHs that will say, yes, Uncle Tonie, why do you put your dogs down when you shoot a buffalo? Well, brother, I'm scared shitless. It is what it is. And so
Me
this
too.
is what we do.
Me too.
Yeah. So in the military, we had a good saying, especially when we worked with explosives. We said, the moment you think you know that you will die. The moment you think you know, you will die. The only difference between living and dying in this industry is that you really know what you're doing. So that's the only thing that I think that people don't understand. You finish your PH course, you can't just go and hunt an elephant. You can't just go and hunt a buffalo. You need to have that 60 days. And now, if you walk on the floors at Dallas Safari Club and you walk on the floors at SCI and you start asking around, you will always get the Zimbabwean guy and the Tanzanian guy and the Namibian guy, and some of them, they will bash the South African PH for that. They will say, in Zimbabwe, to get a PH license, you have to have hunted the big five. And it's true, and I take my cap off for that. Their government really enables their professional hunters to really achieve the ultimate goal in professional hunting when it comes to dangerous game. In South Africa, we don't always get all those opportunities. But if you want, and if you decide you really want to do it, all right, so I was in a blessed time. I had a big catering business, so I could have done a year or two with no income out of the hunting business. So I told the outfitter I hunted with, I will do all the big game hunts he does for free. I will be his driver, I'll be his skinner, I'll be his gun bearer, I'll do all the shitty jobs. As a 35-year-old, I'll do all the work, but that's what I want to do. I want to hump it out, and within a year and a half, I had 120 days. I had the privilege of hunting the big five plus hippo, and physically hunt them, physically had the opportunity to shoot at some of them, physically took clients on many leopard hunts before I got a leopard, but I was sent on these hunts. I built blinds, I dragged shit, I put baits in trees, and I don't have a good stomach. And if you ever do lion baiting, man, that 44-gallon drum that's been standing in the sun for 2 weeks, it's alive, baby. It's alive.
And that's where you lost Sean, right there.
Yes, but you can do it. You can do it if you want to do it. So the reality is, I can tell you now, Mozambique, you cannot. One of the pre-requirements is you have to have a South African professional hunter's license or another country's license. But 80% of Mozambican outfitters and PHs are South Africans. You show me, I have statistics, you show me a country in Africa where there's not a South African PH and a South African outfitter, and I'll buy you a bottle of rum when I see you. Because there's not a place in Africa where there's a hunting business, where there's not a successful South African hunting, and where there's no South African PHs hunting. So if they were so shitty, why are they all over the show? Why does even the Tanzanian guys employ them? Why do they hunt in Uganda? Why do they hunt in Ethiopia? Why do they hunt in Tanzania? Why do they hunt in Zambia? If you go to Zimbabwe today and you look at the biggest client of the Zimbabwean outfitter, it's a South African outfitter. You go to Namibia, the biggest client of a Namibian outfitter is a South African outfitter and a South African PH. And it counts for the whole of Africa. So if we were so shitty, why are we so successful? It's easy. We love people. We love to keep people happy. And we know what we're doing. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened. So that's why how strong I feel about this. I can understand where the guy comes from. I can understand why he went down that path, because he feels threatened. Because the reality is, an 18-year-old boy is going to out-hunt him maybe. And that is it. Now, and if I'm correct, if I listen to his voice tone, it is just what he says, and that's his opinion. But the reality is, all three of you have hunted with South African PHs. Did you have a shitty PH?
Not yet.
You've hunted with 10 different outfitters and PHs. Did you have a shitty PH? No.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Whoa. That statement was entirely true. You see, once upon a time, while hunting in the Eastern Cape, I had an incident where my PH had been straight up lying to me for months before the hunt. So I get there, and what does he do? He no-shows. He doesn't answer his phone, and he saddles me with this young green PH who frankly looks like he just graduated high school. Needless to say, I was royally pissed off, and I handled it in a very public and, well, very loud manner. Now, I'm not going to name names, but if you know me, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But here's the kicker. In hindsight, it turned out to be the best damn thing that could have happened. That wet behind the ears PH, well, that was none other than my PH, Hannes Bayou. And over the years, Hannes and I become very good friends. And honestly, he's someone I don't want to hunt without anymore. He's also one of the best hunters I've ever had the pleasure of hunting with, especially if you're into free-range hunting. There's probably no one better That's if you can keep up with his long-legged ass. So, yeah, sometimes life throws you a curveball, but this one turned out to be a pretty damn good one. Now, back to the podcast.
So they all did the same course. So it can't be that shitty. It has to be good.
No, and that goes back to, and we're gonna talk about this a little more because it is important. And context is one of those things that are key, right? And I think, we'll say his name. It's, Jono McHugh came on the show from Around the Campfire podcast, and he's a super good guy. We really like Jono. And that clip, which you kind of hear for a second, is it's like I said, context is king, right? So this clip, makes it sound a little bit worse than it actually is, and that I think what he was trying to get across is that there's all these young PHs in the game now, just like you said, right? That are trying to make their way. They're doing it the right way. But he thinks some of them aren't as qualified as they could be because they haven't been doing it for as long. Yes. And that may very well be the case, and that's 100%. Fine. But like you explained, it still doesn't mean you're going to pass that fucking test in that course.
Let me give you some examples. The guy in Namibia that is a good friend of mine that hunted for me for years, he phoned me and said, Uncle Tonie, I don't know you from a bar of soap. I will work for minimum wage, like a skinner. And I just want to get experience. And I said to him, come. 2 years ago, a young PH here in the Northern Cape came to me and said, he's a friend of a friend, so he comes through the Farmers Union, big guys in the business, and there are landowners that I deal with, and he says to me, my father is this and this, will you please give me a chance? And I said to my business partner, let's give this boy a chance. So he comes to camp, he starts hunting. He's okay, but how are you going to ever have the opportunity to know you're the best, or you're very good if you don't get an opportunity? So he hunts 1 hunt, 2 hunts. The second hunt, he leaves out of camp. He comes back in 10 days, but during that 10 days, Swift Dip comes and picks up my trophies for dipping and packing, and I'm dipping and packing that stuff myself. My partner and myself and the ranch manager and the skinners are there because that's where I do quality control to make sure the PH did his job right, that he checked the skins, because I can delegate the responsibility, but the buck still stops with the outfitter. So that's the place where you must make sure your ducks is in a row. So I checked this very, very bad games buck and a very bad black wildebeest. And I look, and we have tags. Look on the tag, and the guy's name comes up, and I phone him. And I said to him, listen, brother, rather not shoot one of these animals again if you're not 100% sure it's a mature animal. So when you come back to camp, me and you, and 1 or 2 of the older PHs are going to go for a drive. And we're going to look at black wildebeest and games bucks. Now, saying games buck, I don't think there's a PH in the world that has not made a mistake on a games buck. Rule 1, never shoot a games buck that's alone. Rule number 2, if it looks very thick and white at the bases, it's because it's still a baby. It's soft. But through a binocular at 200 yards, if he stands by himself with the herd, he looks impressive. All right? And then you can make a little mistake. And so we have a rule in my company, we have a rule. If you mess up, you come to camp tonight and you tell me in front of the clients you messed up. Then we let the client hunt another one and we'll go 50-50 on the animal. If you do it again, then you buy it yourself. All right. But if you bring your dog on the safari and your dog gets stabbed by a games buck, I'll pay its medical fees. If a buffalo gores your vehicle to pieces on my ranch, I'll help your truck out. We'll fix your problem. But there's one place where the buck stops with a PH, and that's the quality of the trophy. And that's the way we do it.
I've got a story about that. So I told you, when I first started hunting, I hunted in Limpopo, where most people end up that come from the States. And I hunted with your buddy. So I was with Seth at Noom's. And my first PH that I had ever, his name is Naughty Lamberchet.
Ja,
So we're, yep.
Yes.
And then I've also hunted with Brent Van Os there too several times.
Yes. Yes.
And still communicate with. So Naughty, I was there. Maybe this was my third day in country, fourth day. Of course, I had Gemsbuck, and typical plains package kind of thing, and Gemsbuck. And getting later during the day, and long spot and stalk, and we finally get into position, and there were two Gemsbucks essentially back to back. One was male, one was a female. They went behind this kind of just kind of a natural boma, and there was going to be a shot opportunity when they came out. And Naughty looks back and gets me. He said, "Do you see that V right there, which was a couple yards wide?" He said, "Do you feel comfortable that you can make a shot right there?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, absolutely, no problem." He says, "All right, so get on the gun and get ready. We're just going to sit here, and they're just going to ease through there, and I'll tell you when to shoot." And sure enough, he eased through there, got in the sight window, boom, shot, racked around. The Gemsbuck ran to the right, racked around, and started swinging on him. He's no, grabs the gun. You got him. He's down. I thought, just a lot of times with whitetail, you shoot them and they'll still run a little bit, but he dropped right there. The problem is that in between the backside of the boma and when they came out, they switched positions, and I ended up shooting a female and not a male. Yeah. And for the rest of the trip, Naughty begged me to shoot another one, to shoot a male, and that he would pay for that Gemsbuck because that wasn't the quality of trophy that he wanted me to have. He wanted me to have a big male, and I refused to because I was happy with the trophy, right? And it was a fun hunt, and it was a memory we made together, but he was adamant, and he wouldn't leave it alone. Like, he was going to pay for that animal. He made a mistake. He fucked up. He was going to make it right. So, yeah, that's a testament to, that kind of PH2 and what they do there. And so that's always stuck in my head, that somebody was willing to take money out of their own pocket and make it right.
We basically all know each other in some way or form, going to the shows and everything. But a question, is that Gemsbuck on your wall?
He is. She is. She absolutely is 100%. And I'm proud of her too.
So on my wall, my first Gemsbuck in my life that I hunted for myself, my uncle picked it for me. He's also a qualified PH. He made me shoot a cow. She's nearly 40 inches. I'm happy with her. She's on the wall. And that's what it's all about. It is what it is.
Yeah, and for me, I'm male versus female. Here's the thing: we've had several trips in the last few years, and there's been several cow shot that measured over 42 inches in my groups.
Jeez.
You're not going to get it's very hard to get a bull that's 42 inches. So
Dakota shot a giant.
Yeah. His daughter shot, that was 43, I think, the one that Dakota shot. She shot a 43 in the Karoo.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That thing is massive. But so sorry about the interruption. And the other thing I wanted to talk about, you talked about photos earlier as part of the course. Yes.
Yeah, to circle back around on what he was talking about earlier in reference to the context, I think the point he was trying to make, because it's around the campfire, and he was talking about a lot of the young PHs don't know how to interact with the clients at a younger age. It's that experience of, let me learn to read my clients. This is what a younger, 18, 20. I know I couldn't talk to people at 18 to 20. Heck, I still have a hard time talking to people. And I think that was one of the things he was trying to mention is the younger guys have a hard time going, oh, my client likes to, he also wants to height see, or he only wants to shoot big stuff, or he wants to shoot everything, or she wants to shoot nothing, only this very specific package. I think that was one of the things he was trying to reference in the context part is, the older guys have a tendency to be able to read the clients better and have more life experiences. Therefore, they can tell more stories around the campfire. So, kind of put that in perspective.
And that makes 100% sense. So what you need to do as an outfitter is need to spend enough time in your camp with your clients around the campfire so that you can facilitate. I call myself camp entertainment. I am the camp entertainment. If I don't hunt and I have the time, I go to tonight I won't have supper with the clients. But, no, man. I'll get the speed. I switch
maybe you hit the lottery this time.
No, I don't have a clue what's happening here. Just give me a second. My computer has a WhatsApp action, and in Limpopo, here in the Northern Cape, the only thing we can use is WhatsApp. We don't have any signal, so my bloody computer was phoning now. But in any case, if you're a 20-year-old boy, you've never been to America, your world is this big, just a small little round circle. You have never been in America. You have not marketed in America. You've never seen the world in other people's eyes. So you have a limited sphere of knowledge. Now, 3 weeks ago, my son hunted with me with clients, and he's 31, 32. He's a father with children, but he's never been to America. But he can run the business. You know, he's a good guy. He understands the hunting business. And the clients he's hunted with wants to do business with me, marketing and bringing clients. So I said to him, bring those guys to my house. Let's sit here at the dining room table and talk to them. So we spoke an hour and a half or 2 hours, and they leave. And then the next day he says to his mom, he never knew how complicated the business and the industry is. Now, he's been hunting for 10 years. He knows the Trumps. He knows all the jokes, all the politics. He knows everything. He even worked in America on cattle farms. So he knows America. But still, in his life and in his career, he's never been exposed to that side of our business. And so afterwards he was dumbstruck. He didn't know that there's so much things that go into this business. I mean, this is, I always say the hunting is only 10% of our business. 90% of our business is human business. It's communicating with people and to read a person. And then the PH comes to camp and he says to me, Uncle Tonie, I got this, there's no other word, sir. He's an asshole. Then I go, all right, and now? No, sir, I don't know what. So I said, oh, it's easy. What does your job description say? It says, professional hunter. What does it mean? You need to eat his shit, smile, and make him happy. And that's it. And he can be an asshole for you. But you're going to not be an asshole. You're going to do your job. That's what we do. I mean, that is what we do. So if you cannot hunt with different personalities and different trades of people, then you're not a professional hunter. Your job is to keep the client happy, to read the client and understand him. The only way you're going to do it is to keep on doing it and learn from the older guys. If that guy is prepared to help the younger guys in camp and not cut them off, then you will be to the better of our industry. Because where I'm sitting here, I'm sitting not here for myself. I'm sitting here for my industry, for my fellow hunters, for you guys. We are all in the same battle together. You're just on the other side of this thing. So if we can't see each other eye to eye and do something to the better of our industry, then how are we going to get our children? I mean, my grandchild is 7 years old. He lives with me here at my house. I'm his dad and his grandfather. Today he said to me in the car, he wants to become a professional hunter and walk in his grandfather's footsteps. That is why we are doing this. We are doing this so that 7-year-old boy in 10 years from now is 17 years old. He does his PH course and he becomes a successful guy. Steve Swanepoel's sons, both of them are professional hunters. They are both exceptional professional hunters. His other son is now finishing school. The chances are 90% he's going to be an exceptional professional hunter, because that is what we do. It is in our blood, and that's what makes us happy.
Yeah, and so what you boys just heard there is definitely going to be the first soundbite that I cut for a short out of this video right there. That was perfect.
So here's the deal, folks. These reels and shorts we put out, yeah, they're designed to stir the pot and grab your attention, and that's on purpose. That's absolutely the whole point. We're not here to make everybody comfortable, and to be honest, we really don't care about your feelings. We're here to tackle tough issues head on, no tiptoeing around them like some leftist you, where they think that there's 57 genders. We're sticking to reality here. But let's be real. It's pretty damn easy to pass judgment when you're only watching a 30-second clip. You see something, your blood starts boiling, and boom, you're in the comments, ready to go. And I get it. Hell, I've done it myself. I'm just guilty as the next guy. But those shorts, they're just the appetizer. If you really want to know what's going on, watch the full podcast. Don't jump to conclusions based on the teaser. There's always more of the story. Now, If you've got thoughts, disagreements, or even better, ideas on topics that you want us to dive into, drop a comment below or hit us up on social media. But let's keep it real. We're all here to have a conversation, not a shouting match. I want to hear your side, but let's keep it constructive. The goal isn't to agree with everyone. It's to understand the bigger picture. Remember, folks, we're not here to push our agenda or ideals on anyone. This podcast is about gaining insights from people in the industry. We might not always agree, but we believe in giving everyone the chance to tell their story. So before you go lighten up the comments, watch the full conversation, and trust me, it's worth sticking around for.